We'll have a look at things over the next few days. We've called in 6, 7 of the 19s. Okay, so obviously we'll make a number of changes. You know, Stephen Beattie obviously won't be available, but we'll change things around, bearing with the cup game on Monday. So you know, so I expect that you know, some of the 19s will play as well.
So the last 4 league games, a chance to experiment before now and the end of the season.
Yeah, well, you know, we've the massive semi-final next Monday, so certainly with the remaining league games, we would intend to give some players game time. You know, it would be nice to see Ronan Hurley, who's the captain of our 19s, get a bit of game time. Shane Daly-Butts, Pierce Phillips, Cian Murphy. So we certainly would like to give some of them matches, and that's the plan over for the remaining league games.
And was relief the overriding feeling after Sunday's game?
Relief. Well, the fact we're still in the cup and we scored late, I think. You know, we went up first half. We were really good. We had a chance early on with Kieran's header at the back post. Noel Smith a save for them. But overall, the first half I thought we played very well and we were quite dominant. Second half, you know, they tore into the game, and we were under pressure certainly in the first 10 or 15 minutes. And but you know, in the law we had a chance to go ahead. We feel we conceded a soft goal. Obviously, Stephen Beattie was after getting injured at the time, and Conor was just on the park. And but you have to, the lads, you know, I keep saying you have to admire their character and their desire to keep going to try and get back in the match. And you know, Graham had a chance at 1-0 maybe to score, and he was a bit unlucky after coming in. But you know, you have to look, and you know, these lads have sort of had a bad month and they've been criticised a lot, and you know, quite easily you could lie down and leave it off, and you know, you have to just admire the way they just kept fighting to the bitter end. And you know, we feel coming away that the draw was a fair result, and you know, we're back in our own place now, which is still a 50-50 game, but certainly you know, we feel from the performance on Sunday that the lads get their confidence back, and they played much more like a Cork City team.
Are you surprised by the debate around the awarding of the red card? Because it looked a Stonewall red card, but seemed to split people right down the middle.
Or
the penalty, sorry.
Absolutely. You know, it's quite clear it was a Stonewall penalty. I think maybe emotions, because it was so late in the game, and possibly, you know, a lot of the neutrals possibly favoured. You know, we're possibly hoping that maybe both will get to the final. And that's understandable. I know that, and there's no issue. But I think, you know, if it's anybody else in the pitch, it's a Stonewall free, and there's a question mark whether it was even you know, possibility of a red card. The main thing is that young McCarthy was really lucky. You know, his massive gash on his leg. If it was probably 4 inches higher, you know, it wouldn't be a good situation. So you know, I think the fact that it happened so late in the match when possibly both thought we were in the final, I couldn't understand that, but like, there's no doubt it's a Stonewall penalty.
John, the team stood up in the end on Sunday and got their just rewards with the late penalty, but I thought the management did very well as well to take the semi-final of the cup, to leave the captain out from the start. Maybe he had a knock now, you can put us clear on that. And then Gerard, who was captain on the day, was whipped off, so you're not afraid to make the changes.
Yeah, I think the one thing as the management team that walked into this club 5 years ago was we have to try and put Cork City in a better place, which it is, and there's no doubt about that. And I keep saying it's never about any individual, it's about the club, it's about the team, and ultimately, you know, players go through periods when they're in great form, which is generally most of the time, and then sometimes some of us have a dip in form, whether it's through a knock or an injury, or just they lose a little bit of confidence, and these things happen. And you know, as I keep saying, we only ever pick the team that we feel is right for the day, and if there's changes to be made, you make the changes with the view of, will it make us better? And you know, on a lot of occasions you get it right, sometimes you don't get it right, but it's always in the mindset that you're making the change to make the team better, whatever. And all that happened on Sunday was that, you know, Garrow tired during the second half. We felt we need to make a switch, You could say the same with when Graham came for Ronan Coughlin, give us more physical strength. But some days it works out and some days it doesn't. And the subs that came in on Sunday certainly had an impact into the game.
The performance of Benno as well. He really, he's the warrior. Like, he stood out.
Well, Benno's a warrior. Benno's been a phenomenal player for the club, and you look at his performances. The thing with Benno is that he's at the twilight of his career, and he can't play week in, week out, which is disappointing for himself and for ourselves. But at the same time, you always know, brilliant defender, brilliant organiser, has a brilliant presence within the team, with his leadership, and again, he just, as I said, he since the Lampford game, he had a knock and he was struggling to get fit. But last week he trained, and he gave a performance that was, as we'd say, a typical Benno performance.
Will you be in the stand on Friday, John?
I am. And Tallagh's nice. It's a nice stadium. It's a nice stand, and I always like going up there. So,
but it's just one game, is it?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but obviously, that's the way it is. I got a one game, I just have to take it, and it's Friday night, and and John will man the sideline. That's the way it is. And
for yourself, when you're up in the stand, do you feel you've less influence over the game up there, or is there any real difference when you are that far removed?
As a manager, I think there probably is, but probably not. So I think certainly it's I suppose when you look at other sports, it's hard to know. You look at rugby, and the manager's always in the stand, and you look at in other sports in Gaelic, and they're communicating by headphones, and it's something in the soccer world that really isn't in at the moment. You know what I mean? And most managers like to stay on the sideline. So it's a hard one. Certainly, you definitely see it better from up in the stand, there's no doubt about that, but do you think that you can make an influence on the sideline sometimes? I think sometimes you feel you can if you have to make a change of that, but maybe I'll tell you after Friday night.
and Tallaght has been a tough venue. Like, I know you won there last season, and there was the 5-0 in the cup, but I think the last 3 games there have been defeats. And so it'll be tough again Friday when you're changing the team up so much.
Well, the Rovers on a brilliant run, and obviously, they're going for Europe, and the third spot in particular is in their grasp. So, from that point of view, they've been on an excellent run really since the loss in the cup. So, it's going to be difficult, and you're right. I suppose from our point of view, we still have a lot of very strong players who will play, and we'll integrate with some of the younger lads as well, which will be a great experience for them. So, the last couple of times, I think one game we lost was the League Cup. Extra time last kick of the game, But in the last, we lost last year in the league. Ultimately at the end of the day, it didn't prove costly because we still won the league. You know what I mean? This time early on, we lost heavily. But we've had good days in Tallaght. We've had days we got beaten, and look at the most important thing is Friday night that we're prepared well, and with a lot of new players that come in to see how they get on, because it will be a hard game, but it'll be a good test to see what level they're at and where they're at as well. So we're looking forward to that.
And do you think Rovers, as well as obviously battling for third, that they'll be looking maybe to kind of put down a marker to say that next season they will be in the mix with yourselves in Dundalk, even though most people expected them to be this season? Yeah,
absolutely, and you can see they've brought a lot of new players in this year, and they're saying that it's taking time to bed them in, and done a really good run, and so certainly you always expect Rovers every year to be competing at the top, and I've no doubt that that would be their plan next year. And I suppose look at Stephen's role above there. He's been there a couple of years, 2.5 years. Next year going into his third year, so I suppose he feels that it's coming to a stage where he probably knows he needs to be challenged at the top, and with the personnel that they have, you expect that they will be.
John, should be a bit worried about Stephen Bailey. It's his hamstring he has, is it?
Hamstring, yeah.
Maybe he'll be out for 3 or 4 weeks. Do you have any concerns about him missing the cup final to get there?
Well, we're not there. We're not there, Noel. And look at it. We I think still the game next Friday is a 50-50 because it can go the whole way to extra time and penalties and whatever. Certainly he'll be out for Monday. Look at if a scenario that we could get to the final, I think then he'd have a chance. He'd have a chance for that. But it's just unfortunate because Stephen's had a few problems with the hamstring this year, and it's cost him game time at times. And it's disappointing because he's such a warrior for us, and he's been with us for 4 years, and he's a brilliant player, brilliant person, and you know what you get with him, and you know that's why I always have him in the team when he's fit. So it is disappointing that he's going to miss the replay, but you know, hopefully if we were to progress, you know, he might make the final.
Will Johnny Dunleavy get a run?
No, Johnny's out.
Is he?
Do I expect him to make any appearance between now and the end of the season? We would hope so, but he's certainly not going to appear over the weekend.